This is Brandon Crouch, and this is the review of Iron Man 3.
The reason this might contain violence is because my friends that know me really well are knowing what I'm about to do when it comes to Iron Man 3. Huh, old buddy. Me and Iron Man have been through a lot. That's why I am full of disdain when I have to rip this movie apart. Sorry. I know you're going to be like, you're just a pissed comic book purist. You know what? Then don't watch this. Because I'm going to give out spoilers. I'm going to give out what went wrong. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's bad. Okay, and for all those that did see the movie, they need to understand one thing, and one thing right here. The main villain of the movie, as you know, is Ben Kingsley, who, by the way, is an amazing A-list actor who has been in tons of movies and played Gandhi in 1982 and probably won an Academy Award. He was cast as the evil Mandarin, one of the most powerful villains in all of Marvel. This is the Mandarin, sorry. This is his power grid. As you can see, his energy and fighting and intelligence skills are through the roof. Here's Iron Man. As you can see, they are comparable. And in fact, in many ways, the Mandarin is more powerful. Okay, this is what I want to read to you. Seeking some means of regaining greatness, he ventured into the mysterious Valley of the Spirits, which is a place in China, almost mythical, they thought at once. He then finds a wrecked ship of reptilian creatures that are far advanced in centuries of our technology. In these McLuhan ships, as they're called, he finds 10 power rings. These power rings were used to generate the warp core of this ship, but he alters them to make them into weapons. In Iron Man 1, they even reference the 10 rings as if they were serving him as their master. They then even foreshadow in Iron Man 2 the Extremis storyline, which we'll get into in a minute because I'm about to already blow a gasket. Now, he then creates, with his alien technology, a giant robot like Iron Man called Ultimo. So, in the movie you can understand why I was upset when Iron Man showed up to Miami, not the Valley of Spirits, and confronted the Mandarin, if you will. Or excuse me, his name was Trevor. He was actually playing an actor. They were using the Mandarin, who was not real in the movie, as a fake terrorist, so AIM could go undetected. So the Mandarin doesn't even exist. So you know what I'm going to do? Sorry, Mandarin, one of the most powerful villains in all of Marvel. I'm going to close it, because I guess what? You're not important, I guess. Yeah, he is totally disregarded. The next thing I want to get into real quick is what the storyline of AIM and Aldrich Killian tried to butcher and did butcher. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Extremis, or otherwise potato Extremis virus. Or not virus if in technically. But anyways, they basically created, you remember the super soldier serum of Captain America? For those of you that don't read comics, it was what made him into Captain America. Anyways, they basically created the Extremis as a nanotechnology, nanite technology serum to basically duplicate the super soldier serum and do it much more conveniently. Of course, in Marvel comic books, that never happens. They then inject the first patient in Texas. His name was Malin. So if they were going to use this storyline, the bad guy should have been Malin. He then is the only person that the Extremis doesn't kill. He then basically becomes almost like Technovore. Basically a villain that can just obliterate any kind of technology and almost assimilate it, kind of. I don't know. Anyways. They even introduce, at the beginning of the fucking movie, they introduce the chick, Maya Hansen, whom, if you've ever watched the 6-part motion comic called Extremis on Netflix or online, watch it. It's called Iron Man Extremis. They even incorporate her at the beginning of the movie as if they were going to nail this plot. I even turned to you, Mr. Van Norman, 45 minutes into the film, and what did I say to you?
You said this movie is kicking ass. It's right on point.
They were. They pulled a Jeepers Creepers, because if you ever watch Jeepers Creepers, great movie till about an hour in. And then he grows wings, and then, I don't know, fucking jerks fucking teenagers off and kills them. They did. Anyway, anyways. Oh, what the extremists did in the movie was basically turn a whole bunch of people, not just one, remember, Malin was the only person that the extremist was able to work in, except Iron Man, which I'll get into in a second. Malin was the only person the extremists worked into, and if you saw the movie, every person the extremists worked on, they turned into some sort of molten rock, molten lava person. No, that is actually what we refer to as Molten Man and the Melter. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They pulled an Iron Man 2 on us and created one villain out of two totally different villains in the Marvel Universe. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, insulting our intelligence. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You all remember Spider-Man 3?
Oh yeah. I love Spider-Man.
I'm sure you love Spider-Man, but I don't think you like fucking Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah. That's right.
But
Fuck Spider-Man.
Before I get into that, the extremist virus, basically, in the comic book, Iron Man does kind of get rid of the shrapnel in his heart like he does, because he ends up getting the extremist virus injected into his body, and he's the only other person that can handle it, thank God, to his arc reactor technology, because he becomes so vulnerable and crazy in the comic book because he's vulnerable. He gains a lot of enemies, obviously. He's Iron Man, as any hero would. So he ends up not being able to take his suit off for days and starts stinking, and people hate it. So he has to design something to where he's protected 24/7, because obviously he's got to take his suit off to go take a fucking shower or jerk off, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, but he's the only other person really it works in, and he almost uses it like a symbiote from Spider-Man. It almost comes out of his bone marrow. So you can see why the movie tried to do that with how he was using the Force somehow to get his armor on. I guess he has metachlorians in his blood cells. I don't know. I guess he's a Jedi. Oh, and what happened to all the Iron Man armors that were not even being able to get destroyed by the Ironmonger in Part 1? What happened to those suits, Wiener Kid?
They were completely obliterated.
Easily.
Yeah.
Like it was no one's business. In fact, did he even create anything successfully and be able to use it in this movie like he did in the other movies?
No, it seemed like everything he tried to use was an utter failure.
Which I get it. He seemed stressed out and had an anxiety attack from the
PTSD.
From the Avengers incident.
Exactly.
So basically, that's the extremist virus. Yes, Aldrich Killian and Maya Hansen did come up with it. But Aldrich Killian not only does not exist in AIM, he's not even important enough to put on the Marvel Universe Wiki website. You saw that. How long was I searching for him? Because I know he's, a character, but he's not in AIM.
You searched for him for at least a half an hour.
Oh, the Advanced Idea Mechanics, ladies and gentlemen. The Advanced Idea Mechanics, I know you want to leave, but you're not going to fucking leave. You're going to hear every fucking word I'm going to say. Son of a bitch.
There you go.
But, basically, the leader of fucking, I hope the picture comes up, because he's basically during the time when Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were on acid.
Oh,
Because,
God.
that was the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Anyways, MODOK, who was a computer, he was a human that went wrong and basically became a supercomputer that's designed only for killing.
Mm-hmm.
He's the leader of AIM. In the Advanced Idea Mechanics is a notorious villain of Iron Man, usually in the comics and on the TV shows. So that's why they brought in the deal to make it sweeter. Speaking of trying to make the movie sweeter, do you remember the little character named Iron Patriot?
Yep.
Okay. Iron Patriot. You're not gonna. This isn't gonna make much sense to you, but who is this character right here?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Green Goblin.
Green Goblin, otherwise known as
Norman Osborn.
Yes, very good. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read this to you right here. The passage of the Superhuman Registration Act, which is what happened in the comic books, which led to the Superhuman Civil War, which where Iron Man and Captain America basically butt heads, and had to fight. Injected with nanites by Tony Stark, capable of delivering a powerful shock should Norman Osborn go astray, like try to be a bad guy again. He was offered leadership of the new government-sponsored Thunderbolts. But the Thunderbolts basically were a group of supervillains that got amnesty by rounding up superheroes that didn't register. So basically, he then got to lead his own team of Avengers. That's how he got the Iron Patriot suit from Iron Man's armory.
Okay.
Because he's now the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Norman Osborn secretly killed the Skrull Queen, stealing it from Wolverine. The whole population of the world saw that and thinks he's a hero. So now he's the Iron Patriot, when actually he's the biggest piece of shit ever. He's the crazy Green Goblin who's killed thousands. People don't know that, though. That's the Iron Patriot. The Iron Patriot is a dark Avenger. He even starts his own team of Avengers that are assholes. That are seriously, like, Sodom and Gomorrah type shit, dude. Just masochists and sadists, you know what I mean? That's the Iron Patriot, Mr. Norman Osborn. So, like I was saying earlier with sweetening the deal, they literally threw in the Iron Patriot because they were like, oh, people know this is in the comics and it was popular storyline in the comics. So that'll get us an extra few points. Just like the Extremist storyline. People hear Extremist and Iron Patriot, I'm gonna go see that on my comic book geek. Don't be fucking fooled. So, what do we got so far? One of the most powerful villains in all of Marvel doesn't exist. The Extremist storyline turns you into a molten lava person. Oh, and the main bad guy is now someone who isn't important enough to even be listed on Marvel. Oh, what happens at the last 5 minutes of the movie? What does the bad guy say his name is?
The Mandarin.
White, non-Asian, Aldrich Killian, then in the last 5 minutes of the movie to somehow, I guess, make us comic book geeks not as pissed, not working by the way, he then says, I'm the Mandarin, and immediately gets killed. Oh, and who kills Aldrich Killian?
The most powerful being in all of Marvel, Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts.
Enough said.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's almost like this movie did kind of pull a Spider-Man 3 in the fact that it did get a little bit of villainitis.
Mm-hmm.
They could have easily just had the Mandarin and all of his rings being more than powerful. Because I even said to someone in the theater who was a comic book geek, if the Mandarin doesn't at least blow up 20 of Iron Man's suits, I'm going to be pissed. Because that's how powerful he is. What did that kid say to me towards the end of the movie, too? What did he turn around and say to me? I officially hate this movie. And I said, good. Now I don't have to stab you. But,
So, in your opinion, Brandon, to stay correct to the comic book storyline, what could or should they have done to the movie?
They were doing it for the first 45 minutes. For the first hour, like I said, they were doing it. They introduced Maya Hansen, who Tony Stark gave her the to back in Texas in 1999. You know, and she was, that was cool how they brought in the past. I was like, cool. They even showed him meeting Jensen, like Jensen mentioned in the first Iron Man movie,
right.
And how he then proceeded to shove him off and
Yep.
basically not give a fuck, because that was when Iron Man wasn't a hero and
Being
didn't give
Tony.
a fuck about anyone.
Yeah.
Being Tony, who's not a hero yet,
Yeah.
obviously. But just basically what they should have done to make it right was Aldrich Killian should not have come in. AIM should not have been in the movie. It should have been basically the Ten Rings, the enemy organization calling themselves the Ten Rings from Iron Man 1, should have been led by the Mandarin, and he should have just been fucking up till thy kingdom come. Till thy kingdom come.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. Why do they do this? Marvel Studios, not Marvel. They deprive us of what we really want. And obviously it's not the general populace that wants all this. It's the obscure geeks, the 1% that wants it. And like you said earlier, you were watching a video where it's just all these people that were storyboarding the movie. Which, by the way, the storyboarding and the story of the movie was kind of garbage. It was like, I'm the Mandarin, all of a sudden, to sweeten the deal. It was like they were just trying to make their own movie and be like, hey, let's not piss these people off, so let's plug these few things in there. Literally, that's what I felt. I've never been in a comic book movie, going, I want out of here. To sum it up short, they should have just had the Mandarin, who is Iron Man's biggest arch enemy in the comic books. And he's actually the person that captures Iron Man and fucks him up beyond recognition and has to get repaired by Jensen. Yeah.
Wow.
So Iron Man 1 did fuck up too, but like I said, Iron Man 1 got about a 75% accuracy rating, which for movies is an A+.
Mm-hmm.
But, just to show I don't have just digital evidence, this is the siege. Otherwise, basically this is where the Iron Patriot took over and destroyed Asgard. Asgard then fell onto Broxton, Oklahoma. Yeah, so you tell me that, it was well done. It was well done. Why I'm upset was they brought in Iron Patriot like I thought they were going to somehow do this Dark Avengers storyline. Oh, how I would have loved that. But of course, when the sky's the limit, they do the easiest and most simple thing they could possibly do. So, oh my god. It's all good. Trust me, I know. And the fact that they basically pulled an Iron Man 2, what I mean by that is, in Iron Man 2, Whiplash was the bad guy. For those of you that don't know Whiplash, Whiplash is a guy that wears a purple suit and has just a whip in the comic book. Granted, it's like an adamantium whip. He's just a B-villain that takes orders from Justin Hammer. But if you remember in Iron Man 2, I'm doing a lot of shit with my hands, aren't I?
It happens.
But I don't give a fuck. But what happened was Justin Hammer in the comic, who's like 80, is the ringmaster. And is so smart, he runs everything. That's why he has his own company, like Iron Man. But in the movie, Whiplash is smarter than Justin Hammer and outsmarts him in the end and fucks him over. Oh, what I mean by combining villains? Whiplash gets his own iron suit and arc reactor and electronic whips. Just like the Crimson Dynamo and Omega Red from X-Men and Iron Man. Combining villains to make their own. What they did to Aldrich Killian was they made him the Molten Man mixed with the Melter, who's an Iron Man villain. And the Molten Man's just a basic Marvel villain, B-villain. So it's like they think by combining two shit villains they're gonna make a fucking awesome villain, when honestly they make a puke villain. So basically, excuse me. I'm losing my voice from this shit. So if you don't want to fucking be pissed off, if you're a true comic book geek, if you're a fucking true comic book geek, and if you want it and love it, and you said it earlier, Justin, you made the best point of all time. This isn't their comic books anymore. That's our lore. This is all of our folklore. And they're just shitting on it like, whatever. Whatever. I know there's 15 of us storyboard artists, but nah. I know you all think we should do what's right and do the real... Well, how did people feel... I know I'm tangenting a lot, but how did people feel when the Half-Blood Prince was shat on? It was okay to freak out about that because it was a novel. People think because I get pissed that a comic book is not done accurately because comic books are elementary and stupid. They're funny books. When actually, if you've ever read a comic book, they're full of scientific stuff that makes your eyes go, duh, because it's ridiculous. The Hulk is about gamma radiation and gamma bombs and gamma theorems and everything. Iron Man is a fucking engineer. You've seen all the fucking writing he does of equations. They have that in comic books. They're like, oh, the transdimensional flux is offline. Doctor Strange needs to go to the astral plane and make sure that the Demon King doesn't destroy all the realms, the hundreds and thousands of realms. Like, you go fucking it's nuts. And they're like, they think we're stupid. This movie started off the beginning of Phase 2. Phase 1 was Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Cap, Thor, Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, making the Avengers. Now they're doing it again, having their own movies to make Phase 2 happen. So, we have a lot to look forward to with Captain America 2 and Thor 2, which, by the way, those two movies rocked, the first ones, just like Iron Man 1. So, hopefully, they don't rape him.
Well, in my opinion, one thing that I liked about the movie, to kind of sum it up, was the fact that we got to see Tony Stark outside of the Iron Man suit. And we really got to see that it is Tony Stark himself and his brains that makes up Iron Man.
Absolutely. Great point. Great point. I wasn't upset too much about nothing was working, because his mind was astray, which is why they could have used this storyline, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Demon in a Bottle storyline. Of those of you that don't know, Tony Stark is a recovering alcoholic and suffers a lot from alcoholism. So much that he doesn't ever take his suit off, and he's just drinking, and even loses his privileges as Iron Man. And that's where War Machine just takes over for a while. War Machine is only Iron Patriot in the comic if he is ever, maybe one fucking time. So, dude.
Alright, Brandon, so any more clothing thoughts on the review?
Well, the whole reason I really enjoyed doing this was so I didn't have to type a note that not that many people were going to see. And if you did watch this, I hope you don't think I'm a nerd. And the answer is yes, I do get fucking laid as big as the geek I am. However, what I am yeah, I really don't have a whole lot more to say other than the fact that I'm disappointed in the fact that they worked so hard and did it so accurately all of Phase 1. Even the Avengers. The Avengers was 75% accurate because they didn't have Ant-Man and Wasp and other things. But it was a great movie and it was one of my favorites. So Phase 2, I was waiting for. That's why I was so utterly disappointed. So I hate to give a lot away, but to sum it up, the Mandarin doesn't exist. The extremis virus makes you a fucking molten lava man. And Aldrich Killian isn't even in AIM.
And Pepper Potts
kills. And Pepper Potts,
Yeah.
thank you, kills the fucking villain. I hope the women don't get mad at me. But I'm sorry, unless it's Ms. Marvel, Pepper isn't killing anyone.
No.
And you know how much I love Ms. Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Marvel would fucking destroy him. But so yeah, my closing arguments are, hey, if you've never read a comic book and don't give a fuck about what I'm saying, go see it.
Do it.
Go see it. But if you read a comic book, fuck it.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and that was Brandon Crouch with the Iron Man 3 review. And sorry if we ruined your day with a couple spoilers, but
I don't
again,
care.
we don't give a fuck. Goodbye.